President Trump has been looking for an off-ramp from a war that he started.
Iran, though, seems eager to fight more. Howard's here to talk about what's happening.
Yeah, good morning. Iran proxies in Iraq attacked oil facilities in Saudi Arabia last night. The Saudis fired back at the proxies in Iraq. It was the first major Saudi involvement in the war. Also last night, suspected Iranian drones set an American natural gas tanker on fire at an Egyptian port. A second ship, also holding natural gas, also burned. Natural gas prices rose on the news, but crude oil prices actually eased a little. Federal Reserve governors voted to leave interest rates where they are. That sent 10-year Treasury notes to 5.2%, highest level since 2009. Stocks dove, like Meta, down 9%. But Microsoft rose 9% as Azure annual revenue hit $100 billion. This morning, GDP disappoints, growth slowing to 1.5%. After diving 1,153 points yesterday, the Dow this morning is up about 350 points.
All right.